Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel, Anna Bella, and today I'm going to be comparing The Witches from 1990, the trailer, and The Witches trailer from 2020. Okay, the first Witches was done in the very early 90s, and it was a Jim Henson production. It's based off a dark children's fantasy novel by the writer Roald Dahl. It is not a fairy tale, and it should be scaring children completely. It is meant to do that. The Grand High Witch, who's the main baddie, was played by Angelica Houston, and she played her to a T. She was formidable, it was well done, and it was absolutely horrific. And so should it be. It had Jim Henson puppetry for the mice and also the Grand High Witches as well. It is based in 3 countries, Norway, because that's where the grandmother comes from. They then travel to the UK and then go to America. Or it's implied that they will be going to America. The main 2 characters are Luke, his grandmother, who is a former witch hunter, and another little boy called Bruno. One is fat, one is thin. Make of it what you will. This is Roald Dahl. He is a nasty children's writer, and in fact, children like to be scared. But seeing The Witches, it is at the top end of a PG rating, this film. The trailer does it complete justice, and it should terrify your children completely, because there aren't enough child-friendly horror films for them to watch. The Witches is a great one. It's brilliant. It will scare them completely, and it will also make them aware of stranger danger. The new trailer for The Witches is really rather interesting. They've done some new things. It's based mostly in the USA, and they then travel to England on holiday. You have got a Black American family, so there's a Black American grandma, and there is a little Black American boy called Luke. Same scenario. There is also a girl in this one who gets turned into a mouse, which never happened in the original story. So we've got some gender balancing, and we also have the fat Bruno, which is just brilliant because you cannot have this story without Bruno. His character development is brilliant. The witches, how they are portrayed in this in the 2020 trailer, they're portrayed as classy ladies. In the other one, they're kind of classy ladies with pearls, but there's something not quite right about them. They're kind of like ugly, middle-aged ladies, yeah. And that is in the book as well. I like the fact that they've gone with a puppet cat of Liption. That's the Grand High Witch's cat on Anne Hathaway's hand. I'm liking that they chose somebody who could be beautiful, but they're going to uglify her, very much like Angelica Houston was. I think that was the right decision. Octavia Spencer is in the film as the grandma. I'm liking the fact that we have got some ethnic diversity this time. I think that that doesn't damage the film in any way, as long as we still get some of the Norwegian roots, because fairy stories in Norway tend to be quite dark, and The Witches was kind of based off that. So I'm hoping that we get some Norwegian kind of hints in The Witches 2020. I don't know if they will do. They probably won't. But that's where the inspiration for this story came from, that Roald Dahl wrote about. He took Norwegian legends and came up with this very, very creative story. I'm liking the fact that we've got updated effects. I think CGI mice will work well. I'm liking the fact that we've still got Liption the cat as a puppet, because I think that CGI is all very well and good, but what CGI should be doing, it should be enhancing the effects, very much like in the Dark Crystal, the Age of Resistance. Yes, they were all puppets, and if they needed to pick a glowing fruit, they would actually physically pick the glowing fruit that had a light in it, and if that light needed enhancing, you could then CGI over the top, if that makes sense. So the CGI works with the scene and makes it more realistic, but it doesn't become a computer game that you're watching, which is an accusation that has been thrown at the Hobbit movies. As you went along that trilogy, it did feel like you weren't watching a film. It felt like you were watching parts of it with CGI, and it didn't really sort of mesh very well. And I'm hoping that they've blended best of both worlds within this 2020. You can't really tell from the trailer. I'm liking the fact that they've actually got a flying witch. You did see the Grand High Witch without her wig, and she was flying. They've also gone with snakes, which is an interesting motif. What I was disappointed with is the fact that you haven't got the purple in their eyes, but they might do that. You did see Anne Hathaway with really horrible teeth, so you might see the purple in their eye, because one of the things I really liked about the 1990 trailer is the purple in the witch's eyes, particularly when they're like offering things. You see that purple and you run. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great. It's a sad sign of the times, though, that it's going to be on HBO Max streaming thing, very much like Mulan and Hamilton, and also Soul were on Disney Plus, because the cinemas are closed. Cineworld opened, but they didn't have any up-to-date films to show because of social distancing, so they've closed for the whole year now. My Loughborough Odeon hasn't opened at all, so the last time I went to the cinema, I went to see, the last film I saw was Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, or The Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, or Birds of Prey Harley Quinn, whatever you want to call it. And 2, it was when I went to see Cicero de Bergerac encore for the National Theatre. So yeah, and that was in March, just before the lockdown. So that is so annoying, but I'm glad that we're still able to get new content. It's coming out on Netflix. Netflix is producing its own thing, Amazon Prime is producing its own thing, and I've got HBO Max getting into the fray, putting out The Witches, ready for Halloween on October the 22nd. Yeah, that's it. There we go, we've got the date. Hooray! I'm excited for this. I think the trailer looks decent. If it doesn't terrify children, I will be disappointed. This story needs to be scary. We don't need it sugary sweet. It's not supposed to be sugary sweet. It should scare the pants off children. The original was terrifying. This is the purpose of this movie. It needs to scare them in a safe way. The story is safe enough but dark enough to be really creepy, and it should give you that creepy factor, because it's Halloween. We need something to creep us out that is safe creepy, and also gives us a nice warning on stranger danger, which you never can have enough of. If you are under 16, I think the more stranger danger you have, the better you are. We don't want to like cause anxiety or anything, but this is a dark fantasy and it should be scary. Like the Dark Crystal should scare you. That is the purpose of it. It is a dark fantasy. We've got to stop walking around on eggshells about scary topics. Strangers can harm us. Not every stranger, but they can. And this is a safe way of introducing that concept to children, I think. And it's by Roald Dahl, who is a cracking British writer who wrote The Twits, James and the Giant Peach. There's so many of his books that we could be talking about. The Witches is a classic. It's brilliant. It's a self-contained story. It could go on, but I'm really excited for the movie itself. The trailer looked good, looked refreshing. It hasn't deviated from the original source material. It's just enhanced, and I think that that's a good thing. It's got increased diversity, and I think that's going to be good. I'm liking the fact that we've got a British hotel manager there, because you should have done, because in the original the Grand High Witch was killed by Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, which is just hilarious. But it worked. It was awesome. I'm very excited for this movie. I think it's going to do well, and I think it's coming at the right time. But then again, it's 2020, which has been the most unusually odd year. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please like, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about the new Witches trailer compared to the Witches film that was put out in the 90s. Thank you. Bye-bye. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Bye all.